What is counseling? The definition of counseling from the American Counseling Association says that it is the application of mental health, psychological or human development principles through cognitive, affective, behavioral, or systematic intervention strategies that address wellness, personal growth, or career development, as well as pathology. Burke in 1989 said the artful application of scientifically derived psychological knowledge and techniques for the purpose of changing human behavior is counseling. But simply put, counseling is seeking to change feelings, thoughts, or behaviors. What are the common features of counseling theories? As we discuss the counseling theories, we will look at the personal commitment, or the opportunity to help clients, counselees, church members, active involvement, being involved in making sure that the counselee is learning to change their feelings, thoughts, and or behaviors, authority, and some degree of that in the understanding that you have trained or am learning to understand what counseling is all about, the inspiration of faith or hope to tell a person that they can change and that changes can take place, mediation between clients and society as a whole, helping to release emotions, to rethink problems, to listen empathetically, and to provide exploratory systems that help them understand pain, change, and what to do. There are many helpful attributes in counseling theories. Understanding psychological health, genuineness of both the counselor and the counselee, interest in others, interest in making the changes, again, empathy, warmth, self-awareness, tolerating desires to change, and awareness of your own and others' values. Let me summarize. There is a major importance of achieving a personal and professional identity as any student begins the study of theories of counseling and gains the experience in translating theory into practice. Personal and professional identities are interrelated and foundational to being able to understand, evaluate, and apply the theories. There are so many different and diverse theories of counseling in our world today. So welcome to the world of counseling. We will begin our look into theories by looking at the psychoanalytic theory. The original so-called talking therapy involves analyzing the root causes of behaviors and feelings by exploring the unconscious mind and the conscious mind's relation to it. Many theories and therapies have evolved from the original Freudian psychoanalysis and utilizes free association, dreams, and transference, as well as other strategies to help the client know the function of their own minds. Traditional analysts have their clients lie on a couch, or the therapist takes notes and interprets the client's thoughts. Many theories and therapies have evolved from the original psychoanalysis, including hypnotherapy, object relations, intense journal therapy, and many others. But one thing they all have in common is that they deal with the unconscious motivation. Usually the duration of therapy is lengthy. However, many modern therapists use psychoanalytic techniques for short-term therapies. Psychoanalysis is a method of psychotherapy and personality theory with a philosophical approach to human nature. The father of psychology and psychoanalytic theory is Sigmund Freud. Born in 1856, he lived until 1939 and was the originator of psychoanalysis. According to Freud, human beings are basically determined by psychic energy and early experiences. People's behavior is influenced by unconscious motives and conflicts. One is driven by sexual and aggressive impulses. Freud stresses the importance of early development and developmental stages referred to as psychosexual stages. Freud contends the feelings of love and trust dealing with negative feelings and developing a positive acceptance of sexuality and social areas that are all cemented in the first 6 years of life. Later, personality development is built upon the period of this life. Psychoanalysis encompasses time periods from the late 1800s through World War I, which he calls Stage 1. Between World War I and World War II, Stage 2, and the post-World War II era, Stage 3. The goals of psychoanalytic theory are presented in intervention strategies of free association, dream analysis, analysis of transference, analysis of resistance, and interpretation. Erik Erikson built on Freud's ideas and by extension stressed the social aspect of a person's development. Most people think of this theory as the couch theory of early counseling. You know, sit down or lie down and tell me your problems. The second most important person in psychoanalytic theory is Carl Jung. His theory was called the Jungian analytical psychotherapy theory. Carl Jung disagreed with some of Freudian psychology. Jungian counseling or psychotherapy uses the presenting symptoms as material to lead into the deeper layers of the psyche. The complexes, archetypes, and symbols help each person realize his or her place in humanity and connections to others while working through the psychological conflicts. Although Jungian work appreciates the second half of life for development, understanding early childhood issues is integral to the treatment and not over-focusing on the past. The blending of personal with collective, spiritual with physical matter, masculine and feminine, and all the numerous paradoxes in life are a part of the process of personality integration. Developing the capacity for internal communication comes from gaining familiarity with the various aspects of the personality discovered through dreams, active imagination, daily life, synchronistic events, and the therapeutic process. The individual who looks within finds the treasures gleaned from the process learned in this form of treatment. The discovery of oneself unfolds through a lifetime. Finally, we look at Alfred Adler. From 1870 to 1937, the Adlerian counseling and psychotherapy was also not in agreement with Freud's basic theories either. He thought that Freud was too narrow in his emphasis on the biological and sexual determination. Like Freud, however, Adler believed that the first 6 years of life influenced an individual. He did not focus on past events like Freud did. He was more interested in how one interpreted his past and in its continuing influence on him. The basic premise is that human beings are always becoming, that we're always moving toward the future, that our concerns are geared toward our subjective goals rather than an objective past. Adler was basically opposed to the theories of Freud. It was Adler's belief that humans are motivated primarily by social urges rather than sexual urges. The individual psychology of Alfred Adler is based upon holistic understanding of human nature. It espouses a philosophy of human relations based upon social equality. The practice of individual psychology has been characterized as common sense, and yet it is still not commonly practiced as Adler intended and modeled. While fundamental principles have remained the same, new techniques and applications and the evolution of the theory continued into the 21st century. We are constantly aiming towards what Adler calls superiority. When we have unrealistic or unattainable goals, this can lead to self-defeating behaviors and discouragement, which may foster neurosis, psychosis, substance abuse, criminal behavior, or suicide. The role of the therapist is to help the client identify mistaken goals and to help the client do away with self-centeredness, egotism, and isolation, and to develop positive, meaningful interpretational relationships. Generally, a long-term therapy, sessions involve the therapist listening and questioning toward the goals of knowing the client as fully as possible so that the therapist can give feedback toward the faulty objectives and behaviors of the client. This concludes the introduction into the psychoanalytical theory as a whole.